Yo, what's up guys? This is how I spent my first $1 million. Let's get into it. So first I'm gonna talk about how I made my first maybe few $100,000, and it was mainly from tournament winnings because I wasn't that popular on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. So first of all, World Cup, you know, that was like one of the biggest tournaments. I didn't do too good in the finals, but I qualified 4 times. And both duos and solos. So I think at around 14, I had about $200,000 or $300,000 in earnings, and I was really stupid, so I didn't know what to spend my money on. But yeah, so first of all, I was living with my parents, but my sleep schedule was really bad. I'll be playing until like 3 or 4 a.m. and I didn't know how to cook, right? I was 14, so probably spent about $30,000 on ordering food. Yeah, not off to a great start, but you know, I didn't know how to cook. My parents weren't awake, obviously. So I was just ordering pizzas, kebabs, burgers. I was not a very healthy guy. Yeah, that was probably what I spent my money on the most during that time. Okay, so after, you know, getting all this food, I somehow managed to stay skinny. I'm not sure how. I was literally like, I think I weighed like 50 kilos or something. So I don't know how I was that skinny when I was just ordering coke every day. Yeah, that was my first, okay, maybe not 30,000, but you know, something along those lines. The next thing I spent my money on, this was actually pretty smart, just equipment. Better streaming equipment, you know, cameras, lighting, PC, you know, keyboard, mouse, all that kind of stuff. I spent a lot of money on that at the start. I don't know, maybe dropped 20, 30K on just upgrading my setup. Even my streaming room, you know, like painting the walls, everything, like I did everything to my setup. I'd say I probably spent 20 to 30K on that. I'd look at it as an investment, you know. Okay, so after that, you know, this is pretty much the only thing I spent money on when I was about 14 to 15 years old, you know. I was just staying inside in my room, just playing games. So I didn't really spend anything else than just on food and my streaming PC and everything. But after that, when I got a little bit older, maybe say around 16, 17, I realized I really like to travel, you know? So I went on a few vacations, and they were really nice vacations, but they were pretty expensive. So I think probably spent about 30 to 40K on just traveling, like flight tickets and hotel and just a bunch of bullshit, honestly. So yeah, that maybe wasn't very smart, but you know what? You gotta spend the money you earn, you know? Because then you're gonna wanna make more money. So yeah, probably about 40K, 30, 40K on just travel. I think I went to the Maldives. That was insane. And then I've been to Mauritius. That was a bit later, but in Thailand. But yeah, I love to travel, so I spend a lot of money on traveling, but I don't regret that. All right, so next, this one is also pretty stupid, but you know, I love clothes. You know, I got my own clothing brand and everything now, so I started getting really into clothes at 17, I'd say. Before that, I had no style. Like, bro, I bought a Gucci suit for like $5,000. It's so disgustingly ugly. Yeah, I don't know who let me get that, bro. That looks so yeah, I spent a lot of money on clothes. At the start, I was just buying designer stuff because I thought that was cool, or that would make me cool, or that is how you have style. But I think you guys can agree, I have a bit better, you know, fashion sense than what I used to. But I think I spent about 50K on clothes and jewelry around the time I was 17. Yeah, not the best investment, but you know, hopefully I learned something from that. Also, when I was 17, that was the first time I moved away from my parents' house. I moved in with Nyrox, the World Cup champ, and I lived with him for about a year. We were staying in Sjuvolmen, right next to the ocean. So that was a great time, but you know, I was pretty young, so I wasn't really cleaning the apartment. So Nyrox got a bit triggered, so we only lived there for a year together. So yeah, I was a little bit lazy, but I would say the rent there for that year, it was about like 30K, I think, per person. So that was also, yeah, 30K. Not really a lot of good investments so far. I don't know what I was thinking, but it is what it is. So next one, this is a big thing for me. You know, I really like supporting people, you know, helping people out. I think it's really important to show other people love. I think I realized this about like 17, you know, I read a book or something. So yeah, I really love charity, and I think it's a great thing to support, you know. So I'm almost getting emotional. So yeah, that was, so I spent about $100 on that around the time I was 17. Moving on.
Say $100. It's not actually.
No, I'm just Fucking around. No, okay, actually, not. I didn't spend $100. I dropped a bit more than that. As you guys can tell, like, yeah, I spent a lot of money on dumb shit, but I didn't really spend that much money for, like, you know, I didn't buy like crazy cars and like all this kind of stuff, you know. It's like, well, food, rent, equipment, you know, some of these things, like clothes, you gotta have clothes. So yeah, I'm not really a big spender, or I wasn't really a big spender from like 14 to 17. So yeah, around this time I was living with my parents again. So when I was 17, I was renting this apartment with Nyrox. When I turned 18, I moved back home and I was looking for an apartment to buy. So at around 18, I got my first apartment, which is where we are right now. You know, I've been saving a little bit up for that for a while. So it's a pretty nice apartment, I'd say. We're gonna go way over the budget now, but this apartment was like $1.2 million. So that's pretty much what I spent most of my money on, unless you count like employees, investments, all this kind of stuff. I don't consider that as spending money. That's, you know, investing money. That's making money. So yeah, I had to go crazy a little bit for this apartment, but you know, I love living here, and I think being in a good space makes me able to work harder. You know, I play Fortnite, so I don't know if you want to call it work, but you know, it makes me motivated. That's what I'm trying to say. That's how I spent my first $1 million. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And this is also the first video with XSET, so if you're hyped for me joining XSET, show some love to this video and make sure you subscribe to the XSET channel. Hi boys, thanks for watching, peace out.